Hello, welcome back to History of Design, Session 4, Graphic Design in the Industrial Revolution. As you can see, we are moving on. Session 1 is closed. I think everybody's doing fairly well. Don't need to worry about them closing. I do have news about next week. Next week, Tuesday. This is next week. So you check this is the fun part, everyone. You check your due dates. The attendance doesn't change, but your due dates are February 24th. Next week, Tuesday, the college is closed for instructor reasons. And because I like to keep on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule, we're not going to have class on Thursday. So next week, Tuesday nobody's here at the college. Thursday is a work day. It will state that next week when you open the session, there won't be a session 5. It'll show that for me only. Now, you got to check in your other classes. Monday, there's still classes. Wednesday, there's still classes. Thursday, other people may have classes. Friday, you may have classes. It's just Tuesday, the college is closed, and then I roll that into Thursday. Later on in the semester, we're going to have a Thursday missing, but because we'll be far enough in, it won't matter as much, and we'll just meet that Tuesday, and the Thursday will just roll off and just kind of deal with it then. So just kind of know, you got a little break coming up next week. Things aren't due right away. So you have a little extra time to work on your big projects and stuff. But don't waste your time. Get caught up if you're behind. I think some people need to get caught up in brand and media. You guys are basically the same crew. So pay attention to that. Like I said, it will show up starting next week, Sunday. I think it pops up on Sunday. It just says February it's closed. And it's just for me. Don't double check your other instructors, what they have going on. Just Joel, mine only. I do mine differently. I like the way I do mine. All right, don't forget your attendance. Do your attendance. Do that first thing. Do it today. Get it done. Continue what? What is a widow in typography? A short line left at the end of a paragraph or column. Boom. Done. Do all 5. It should take you a minute. That's my attendance. You don't do it, you didn't attend class, then you can't say, but I didn't know. You do know. Today, graphic design and the Industrial Revolution. I'll go over a little presentation. Just, again, mine is just like a little bit that's happening. It's not that big of a chapter. It's a lot about photography and wood type. I love wood type. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And work on some projects, start to try to give you guys some hints and clues about design practices as well. Not that anybody's doing anything wrong, but some design practices. All right, so we're moving on. So graphic design and the Industrial Revolution, from information to persuasion. So before this, we're like working in graphic design, and we're like, it's all about producing books. We need books. But then finally, we start to go into advertising. And what we learn in books translates then to advertising. Hey, I can print advertisements. I don't have to hand do them anymore. I want 50 flyers to go around town. I can get them printed instead of like hand doing 50 of them. So like we're starting to think differently about how we can use this new printing technology for the most part. And a lot of that comes with is like, I love this. And like all of these are all about like big fat letters. Is like, we're getting into advertising. And instead of like, we went from certain letter forms that look like calligraphy and printing to this, we had all those wonderful Caslon and stuff like that. Last time we were like, finally we can read the letters. Everybody can understand the letters. And now we're like, now let's make them, I want to be able to read them from across the street. If I want to go big. And then so what we start doing is we start introducing fat face types. Sorry, the hand is on the fat face. They were the bold button in the 1800s, like fat face, like big chunky letters. And we're starting to do stuff where we're starting to then move into like a different way of printing, which is woodblock printing. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So we have the birth of the fat face type. These are Roman style fonts with incredibly thick strokes, easy peasy. And then somebody like slab serif, Egyptian style, where we start getting into like these just giant, even bigger, bigger and bigger. You know, like just we're going bigger and bigger. It's like trends. It's any trend. How far can we push the trend until it explodes? You know, like think of every clothing trend out there. Somebody's got the clothing trend and then they do it and do it until it's like we can't do that trend anymore because we've pushed it to its limit. And that's what we're doing. We're getting big, bold, crazy fonts that are meant for wood type for big posters. So think of back when we're dealing with that metal type, we found this awesome way where I can mold hot liquid mold letters, and it's like 1 and it's H and it's 18 point, and then I get up to 36 point and it's getting big and heavy, and I want to go to 72 point, which is like an inch tall. About I think 72 point is about 1 inch. Well, now I'm just dealing with like weight, super heavy. So metal type was too heavy and expensive for giant Wild West style posters. So designers started using wood type. So it's wood. They find really dense wood. They cut on the end grain, it's called. So there's no, like you can't see any pattern of the wood. It's the end grain. When we typically draw wood, we draw a cross and like, here's a 2x4. And like the grain goes like this. Well, the end grain is the stuff on the end, and it's all little dots, and it's really condensed, and it won't show up when you carve it. And then you can carve that real small, but you can have like a giant, W on the end grain, and it could be like 4 inches, 8 inches, huge. So that's how we're starting to get into, and this is a great way to say it, from information to persuasion. And that's what you do as a graphic designer. You're persuading people. Well, what's even better than printing is getting a machine to print it automatically where I can walk away. Steam power. 1,100 sheets per hour. That's crazy fast. That's huge numbers. Huge numbers. Now it's like in an hour, like that's an hour. I don't think my laser printer here can do 1,000 sheets in an hour. So that's changes everything. So in 1 hour, in an 8-hour day, you kind of figure out how many sheets you can do. You can start printing lots and lots of books, newspapers. And there's a big one, making daily newspapers affordable for everyone. We are now, that social media, because we can steam power it, we're not borrowing it, we can print a lot more and a lot more frequently. People are now getting news. What's happening around the world. They, send information from here to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, and it's great. Here's the thing. We're doing this, but we're still hand typing until this machine comes along, the Linotype. So this is this machine over here. Oh, why is that black and thin? It's so boring. Orange and 2. This machine right here. So now somebody can sit down at a typewriter, type out a single, instead of like when we were hand pouring one little letter and then putting it in a tray by itself, here you can type out a line, a full line. And it will pour that full line of text, so full sentence, and then you can keep going. So now you're typing out, and instead of hand setting each letter, you're just doing lines of text. So you have like 1 and then the second line is, like here, and then so much quicker. And you could group those, bind them. You can figure out how long do I want the line, and that's where like a lot of this math then starts to come in, and like how many lines, how many characters, how many lines, and people would have to figure that out. Back in the day, there was a specific person that would have to figure out how much type was needed based on like everything, and then they would give you a quote. You'd be like, your book is 47 pages, blah, 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 and they would know it to the point, like, because it was money. Each page was more money. How small could the text be? How big? It was crazy. But there's like these mathematicians who could figure that out for the people. So now we're typing in a line, type setting's getting quicker, and printing's getting quicker. People are starting to find stuff out. We're starting to read more, less illiterate people, because there's more stuff around us to read. Well, on this persuasion thing, now we got to figure out how do we get images to reprint everywhere. And these last things are all about images. So we have lithography and stone writing. So this is where lithography allowed artists to draw directly on a flat stone with a greasy crayon. And this meant that you're no longer having to carve your image into a hard material. You can literally just draw on it. It's still difficult because you're separating out the colors yourself, and that gets into this. But at least for this, it was like a stone, and you could draw on it, and they could ink that and make 1,000 copies. And because I'm not spending 4 days carving my image, I can draw very quickly, instead of carve. That sped things up. Then somebody figures out, well, if I want this picture here where it's a teal background, I have black text and some red and yellow, I can make a stone for each one of these colors, trace, and be like, this area is going to print, every area that's red, I just grease it up as red. Every area, and that's one stone. Every area that's blue is another one. Every area is yellow. And then you could just press those on top of each other. It's transparent inks. And now we can start printing full color, putting color in the thing. It's not quick, but it's quicker. We're bringing up the game. Finally, this guy. This weird image is what is regarded as the first true photograph, where it was silver, it's silver chemical mix, and it made the very first glass plate photograph, which meant it'll eventually replace drawings. Not 100%, but it's also the big change into like editorial in newspapers, is you can actually show, instead of somebody going out in the field and doing a sketch, bringing the sketch back, then changing the sketch into, drawing the sketch chromolithography or lithography, and, like redrawing the sketch again, and then using that in the newspaper. Now we can use a photo. Somebody takes a photo and they can transfer it and then start to use that as a way of means. And then that's, for a little bit, it's the truth, But here's the funny part. They've always, since day one practically, we've been manipulating photography. And so is it really the truth? Even back, very, very back in early days, people started tricking out double images, ghosting images, and they would call it true even though it wasn't true. So I don't think there's ever really been truth in photography, and now it's even worse. Darn you, AI. So it's a fun time. It's a fun time. A lot of things are happening. Let's start out with some fun projects here. Let's do our title. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to copy and paste this. graphic design, and the Industrial Revolution. Let's build out our file, make sure we do our file correctly. And I'm doing this because I want you to start to think about different ways of manipulating that typography when we work on things. When I'm like one effect, I guess effect is the wrong word that I've used. Quarter plane. I want you to start to look at the letters themselves and how we work with those letters. A lot of it is, okay, this is a weird, it's 6 by 0.75. 610.75. No fill. Stroke is magenta. It's 1 point. I center it. I call that a margin. I'll bring in my rulers. Do this right away. Always want to know my dividing spots on my page. Helps with my design. Set that as a template. That will never show up. That's just for me. I know I shouldn't have text go too much far past that. It's my crop marks for cutting it out when I design. Sorry, I like to talk about what I'm doing rather. I can't always talk about no fill, FX, crop marks. Boom, they're in there. And then the typography, which I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to paste in. And then I have a font. I have to go to my libraries, and I go back out, chapter 4 assets. I got a big slabby. I think I want this. So it's a big slab. I think it looks pretty cool. And I'm not going to do this. So I talk about this interrelationship of type. And when we work with stuff like this, I'm going to break this down into 3 groups and just play with those 3 groups. So I have graphic design. And I'm going to break that down into graphic and design. And I'm going to play with the interrelationship of these 2 words. The other one, and the. And my goal is, the reason why, I think I say 2 type effects. At least 2 typographic modifications. Now, if you've done it in the past, great, I don't care. But when we just go and we start hitting on these weird effects, the problem is I have with these is anybody can do these. I'm gonna bulge the text. I'm gonna just do, and you're hitting something, and you go to effect, and I'm gonna go to warp, and I'm gonna arc it. I'm like, okay, cool, done. I'm done. I did it. But why? Why are you doing it? What I want you to start to look at, and this deals with title treatments and stuff like that, is look at the interrelationship of the letters themselves. And what can you do? When I bring this and start bringing it here, I'm looking at where do things meet up? So this H and this D kind of meet up. But here I got a puzzle piece. I call it looking at puzzle pieces right here. How can I get these to line up? And if I go look at this R to D right here, it's a beautiful matchup. And then I can play and be well, I can get this maybe match up better by changing the kerning. By what if I add 3 on the tracking and kerning, and it's just going to start moving these letters out a little bit more. I think I have the P in there too. And if I go to 3, and I'm just nudging, maybe let's go to 10. Let's see what 10 does. I'm going to go to 8. And it's not taking a lot of time. But I'm looking for okay, so now this is perfectly aligned. This is perfectly aligned. That's that. All right, that's cool. And it looks good together. Look, this just happens to end right there. And I can be all right, I have that. And I can put this in here. Well, it fits perfectly. I'm going to go up a little bit higher. I'm going to go past, like I'm not going like here. That's dumb. I can go a little bit past. It's a little bit tight, but I'm cool with that. Like, look at that. Like how those work together. And then I still have and the Industrial Revolution. So again, I'm going to look at these, but I want like this. I wanted again, like what if I do something here? Like, is that going to be neat or weird? Like, and I'm modifying the type. Like this is the modifications that we talk about. Is like I'm turning it. I'm making one font bigger, one font. Like I adjusted the tracking, and I'm just playing around and trying to make these like work. But as I'm not, it's like the message is there, but then I'm looking at readability and like funkiness to keep it interesting. Oh, I gotta type out Industrial Revolution. Do I really? No. So I need 2 of these. And I want you to spend the time on these and like really look. It's about, these are studies in the typography, and looking at like how you do title treatments without just doing the standard. How do we get things? And like already I'm like, where do these line up? These would be this and this, and graphic design, like how big can I get these? And it's almost like it's working as is. I may just drop like, so I'm looking, I'll add some guides. Like I want my guide to be there, make sure that maybe this is up there. And then, if we drop this to here, how does that relationship look? I can bring that in, or I can push this out. Maybe and the means a little space. And then go back and look, and then stop, and then go back and look at it again another time. And think about these. Like, I'm just hitting the arrow key, and then maybe I'll go do the preview look, double check it. Like, am I liking that? Oh, and then escape. I started this with another project. Is if I have my layer, my mind is going to blue for some reason. This is typography. But see how you can play with it, the relationship of letters, and not just like type it all out in a straight line, but start to see where things interplay. And like that, give yourself an hour. See what it really you can accomplish in 1 hour, right? Because you're like, oh, I did that. In 15 minutes, I was done with that project. Well, see what an hour gives you. Work on it for 30, turn it off, set a timer, like set a 30-minute timer, work on it, turn it off. The next day, come back to it, work on it for another 30 minutes, and see what your mind has changed in that time. Okay, background. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna go cream again. Am I going cream? Oh, well, shit. Look at that. And I'm like, why not just do this? Shoot. Well, there we go. Like I just reversed it. Why not do that? Anyway, we can do that. There's no rules to get it. Only 2 colors. Right now, white is the page color, and I have Industrial Revolution. And I'm going to take this Industrial Revolution, and I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to lock the upper one. And I can't say this is going to work. Great. And I want to go like 80% gray, and I'm going to offset it. maybe that's it. Maybe I want 90. I want to like just a little bit off. And the other thing I started doing, and I don't always do it, the blacks. I set my blacks, and I used to little bit get in trouble. Printers didn't love this. Here's a note. When I do this presentation mode, it's a pretty good black. I'm gonna see if I can get you to see the black difference here. Is I'm gonna crank my blacks, and so in this, I want 100% of every color laid down. So what that means is like when the printer prints it, they're gonna put down full yellow, full magenta, full cyan, and then full black. So it's like the darkest black you could possibly ever get. Let's see if it shows up. Okay, doesn't. The only problem you get with that is the tint tone and shade might be a little bit funny because it can't. So then if I was going to print this is a super rich black, and then this black is going to only be 90% of just K. So it's going to look even grayer. So let's see if we can make this a spot color. So I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit the plus. I'm going to call it super black. I'm going to have it be a spot color, global. So if I change that, I'm going to hit OK. It adds that. It's a spot color now. And then for the type, it's all about like what I'm getting at. It's like it's just subtlety. So now I'm going to make that super black, and I'm going to go to the palette here, and I can type in 90. It gives me a little bit more control. And you can see now, like that 90 is still really dark. So let's do 75. Now it's starting to show up, and I want like I want it to be like just a ghosting of it. And there we go. So start to play around with that. So just start to look at the words, the letters, the relationship, and how they work together to create your title design. And that's what these exercises are about, is really a typography exercise in title treatments. You got to do a title on everything. A poster needs a title. A magazine article needs a title. They all need titles. And that's what I want you to do. So this would be File, Save As, Cloud Document. Please load my projects. Look at this, Chapter Designs. I'm trying to start to use the certain things in Adobe. Chapter 4, title. In helping to keep organized, there's some goofiness, but I'll show you what so if I save this, but what I did is in libraries, like I have Chapter 4 assets where I have a texture, I have my fonts, and I have my images, which I all gathered previously, like for the next project for 10 minutes, but I'd found this font. And so when I open that and I start designing other things, I go to Chapter 4 assets. Everything I found is converted. It's JPEGs, it's high res. I have my fonts, and it's all ready for me to go, and I'm not finding it. So I found it in advance, because for the next assignment, which we do each time, in which you peruse your chapter, please peruse your chapter. I think I have it open. Take a look through. You're gonna see a lot of the stuff I had. Big posters, fun stuff. I'm talking about wood type. So that's what I was going for. So I found all my images in wood type. We'll do this in InDesign, but maybe I'd change it because I had an idea. But I think I need a different title. Shit. All right, so I had an idea. And this, the more you think about it, well, no, I can put the title there. So the design we're gonna do is 7x5, and all I did was in Photoshop, because I use Photoshop for sketching now, is just drew a little 7x5 square, and it doesn't matter, and it's just so I have the proportions right, and then I can go to my little drawing and zoom in and sketch real quick. I knew what I wanted to do, but the problem is it doesn't work now, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna do, so I have this and then this, and I was like, so if I were to break this out, and I may do this, I was gonna do like a fancy font here. Why am I trying to do that sideways when I can just rotate it? Trying to draw sideways, you know. And then it would be and then I was gonna do like really in, like, I'm gonna still do this, you know. So fancy to solid. I'm gonna have this be dark, so this is gonna be reversed. I'm all about reversing it today, hey? And then, so for the layout, you know, if this is all dark, how do I break up this area? You know, is it like, I got 5 images. Maybe I can, maybe I'll make like a collage, something like, you know, like this, where it's just a block, because none of the images are like super like detailed or important, and then I can run my text like this. And there we go. So talking it out on a piece of paper, there I go. I have what I think can work as a design, and I'm going to save this. It's saved. And then I'll bring that into InDesign as my background, and then design on top of that. So we're going to open up InDesign. New file. This is 7 wide. 5 pages, not facing. Make sure that's turned off. It screws everything up. 0.25 for margins and 0.25 for bleed. I hit create. Then I have my layers. I have a title. I have a images. I have a paragraph. And I have a background. All right, so thinking in advance as well. I have my libraries, and I can go back out to Chapter 4 assets, fonts, backgrounds, and I have 6 images gathered. Oh, maybe 6 will be better. It'll work on this better. But I'm going to put template back here. And we'll talk about typography a little bit in a different way. File. I'm going to place. Open cloud document. Go over here. I know I have it in here. Just 126. Place. Oh no, I forgot when I saved those over. Oh, I gotta start exporting differently. I use the same document for all my drawing. The problem is I have it in other, if I use it in other and it updates, it's just gonna white page me. So I gotta think of a new way to do that. All right, so then I go free transform. Remember that free transform tool is amazing. Why is it off in size? All right, well, that gives me the basis. Now, for the paragraph of information, I am not going to use the title font I use. I'm going to use like something like Arial, Helvetica, Times New Roman, something that's very easy to read. I am not going to typeset in the title font. So like you always pick that font, should be like crystal clear, easy to figure out. I got me a little section about wood type innovation, pantograph, and router. So I'm going to paste that in. Here's a bad part. You want to know something? I always forget how to click this one. I always forget how to do this. Plus, and then here. Plus, no. Well, there we go. It just made its own stupid box. So I delete that one. So just double click on it, apparently. And we'll get this. Oh, I just make that the right size. All right. I'm going to do an offset. I am going to do times. Let's see. Again, I never use times, and I just want regular. And I'm going to go to an 8 point. So that's 8 point. I can go up to 9 point. No, I can go to 8.5. I have room to wiggle still, and I'm going to have to go back and make sure I don't have any widows, don't have anything like that. So this is a different font. So then when I go to my background, I'm going to need more than one background. I had the idea is I'm going to put in this image, this one. And I want it huge. I'm going to darken it. I want it like abstract. Why are they not making the image bigger? So what I'm doing is just creating a big background, and I'm going to put a black on top of that. And properties, fill that with black. I should create a super black for this, but I don't have it. And then I can go to my opacity, and I'll go to 50. I'll go to 75. And I'm going to change this. See how it's milky? It kind of looks milky. If I change the opacity and click on this, and I go from normal to multiply, it's just like Photoshop. Like I want that richness coming through now. So that's what I want. So I move my template up, and I want to create my text bars. How do I want to do that? Let's knock out the white, but I need to be equal. So template off. I'm going to create another one, the background 2. get the white in there. So on a white box, this white box will extend and I can change the size of it as needed. Go to fill, go to paper. There we go. And then when I go to title, I will start, and there's my artboard edge. And draw a box. I'm gonna do copy. Oh, come on. I'm trying to get it something so I can just copy and paste the text. Copy. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna select it. My fill is gonna be paper. I'm gonna go to my library and I'm gonna find the one I want, which I think is gonna be that. I'm gonna copy this again 3 times. Delete that. And make this big. I know it's going to turn off. That's fine. I'm going to see if I can get it all the way to that edge. I may have to make some adjustments. In my adjustments, I might have to change the tracking and kerning, excuse me. That's stall. This. Do this. And I want this one to be fancy. So wood type innovation. I think, yeah. So I'm gonna remove that one. And then I want like a really scripty font for this. The contrast with this slab. So it's like we're going from one era to another. This was a new idea, so I don't really have anything in mind. What is this? Let's make it bigger so we can see it. No, that looks like, I don't know. Doesn't look like me. Far too fancy, right? Yeah. I almost like want it super fancy, but not that. Where is that American Scribe? Nope. Oh, what? I know. What's it called? Old English? Do I have that dumb font? MN Old. Like I kind of want to make it look like it came from the old times. And then it transitioned. So I need to find the font, and I'm going to go to Adobe for that. Uh-oh. And I'm going to open up this. You know, fonts, browse more fonts. It gives me this. As you can see, this is my old search. I want like Old English. Whoa, not that. This. you know, where it looks like it was old typeset. So we're changing this. Schwarzkopf is also, oh, I have this. Well, let's just use that. SCHW. All right, so then we're gonna go to SCHW, old. There we go. That's what we're transitioning in life. All right, so now I have those. So I can zoom in. Let's hide that. Oh, hit the space bar and still type. All right, let's start to set this better. And this white panel may change. I'm coming in from the margin, and I won't do the images with you. I want this to be bigger. Oh, that perfectly hit there. Then I just go to a little preview action, right? And we can start to like set this better. Normal. Then I go to the paragraph. Like this can come up here. I'm keeping a big healthy distance in between my columns. It's about the same distance, right? Not two columns that are touching. You want the distance. But what I'm going to do is overlap and make sure they're the same width. They're not the same width. And then I'm going to go for that distance. I'm making sure that they're lined up. I've been turning off all my snaps and stuff. And then that can come down. Now if I grab those, go to T. Because then that will give me my image space, which I'll put my images in. But it is this color. I want that white needs a change. I think it's a little too stark for me. Again, I just don't want to go with the standard cream, but I'm seeing some nice stuff down here, but I don't want to have to go. Let's do the type first. Select all. Make it a little bit bigger. What happens? I go 9.5, but then I bring this to 10. Perfect setup. I got two widows. I got to deal with these widows. So as we deal with widows, I'm going to start high and move down. The problem with using the space bar while you're in the middle of a type. So shift return. So I don't interject any new kind of, if I want to do a paragraph change, it doesn't change anything. And then I'm going to start with the A up here, shift return. I'm holding out shift and hitting return at the same time. Shift return. I'm actually going to do this 4 because that gets really far out there. There we go. I'm going to shift return this because why have the here when it can be up there, right? When you're reading through, even if it's the same paragraph, let's just have that sentence start up here instead of a weird the right there. Got to look at all that stuff. And then images. I have my C libraries, and then this is like you just pop them in. 1, 2, and I'm just gonna make a big, like a 6-piece collage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I can go out. I'm gonna make all these small. So I grabbed all of them, select all, get all my images. And I go down and I usually just right away, select this. I make sure that my dot up here is in the corner. That means when it scales them, it keeps the top corner the same and makes them smaller in. And then just so I can see them all, I go to 25. Like, let's make them small. And I can go even smaller with this one. This was the huge one. This one can go to 50. And I'm just starting out with a rough estimate on size. And then I'm going to start bringing them over here. And just stacking first. And then I'm going to start cropping. Sizing, stacking, cropping. Which one am I missing? You have it? Oh, where's the other guy? There he is. I lost the guy. And so if I get my height, so my height is going to be in reference to here, to the text, and then I my width, and then I know I end there. So I may have to like really think like overlapping, like can I overlap? What am I losing? What am I not losing? These all need to be smaller. So I can grab them all, use the free transform tool. That's how you can transform like a lot of images at once. And who knows, maybe my dreams of the 6 thing isn't going to work. But what if I stagger? What if I do 5 and I stagger? That might look cool. This drawing doesn't seem to fit anymore. I know that's the pantograph, but these guys are using the pantograph. So I'm going to resize this. And select these two, resize these. And I'll get it perfect before I'm done. And then so like this would overlap this, and this would overlap this. Then I got to figure out, okay, what's most important on each image, what can be overlapped, what can't be overlapped. Like this guy should be, these two should come to the front, object, arrange, bring to front. This guy, his images moved, so let's get him squared in this. And I'm going to get rid of the white border around him as well. We don't need that. And I'm cropping. This is what I'm doing is cropping, and I'm keep cropping and adjusting, cropping and adjusting. So I don't want to cover this guy's head, right? That's the main thing I'm going for. Like I'm looking at what am I covering up? I want to have an image on top of an image, but I need to make sure I'm not covering up information. It'll just look dumb, like why did he put that guy's, pantograph on top of that guy's head? And then I'm going to grab these 3, and I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to make sure they're all left aligned. See, then I don't have to think about that. And then it's this to this, and I'm going to flip these two. This is going to go up here, and this is going to go here. And then this can go on top. Object, arrange, bring to front. Because then that shows that. This kind of shows the pantograph a bit. I have to look at this. You know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to put this down. I'm going to check it. And then I'm going to work on it in a couple days and like come back to it and be like, is this what I wanted? So if I go to preview, and there we go. Those are the steps. Some things to think about. I'm thinking about high contrast. I'm thinking about how does the text read? I'm thinking how do we read it? Information, all that kind of stuff. So that's how you do it. That's how you go about it. Love doing this stuff. I'll let you guys go. It's been about an hour, and I'll see some of you in next class. All right. Take care. Have fun. Bye-bye.